This week, the Motorhead gang gets their kicks with a crazy KITT car. Learn how to straighten damaged wheels and how to get more power using E85 fuel. Next on Motorhead Garage, presented by Dustless Blasting.
Welcome to Motorhead Garage, presented by Dustless Blasting. Many years ago, it was the famed British race car builder and engineer Colin Chapman that said his personal philosophy was to simplify and add lightness. Well, today in the shop, we're going to simplify and add lightness with this awesome DF Goblin kit car from dfkitcar.com. I'm here with Lonnie from DF Kit Car, and man, when we look at a car like this, you know, you got to think about stuff like the Ariel Atom or the Caterham 7, which are big dollar pieces. You have designed an application here for somebody who wants to do something like this on their own, and it uses some brilliant parts and engineering. Tell me about it.
Yeah, we take a Chevy Cobalt, and as a donor, you take all the running gear out of it, and we supply a kit, and you put all the pieces in the kit to build your own street legal adult go-kart.
And that's exactly what this thing is, man. This particular car has a supercharged Cobalt Super Sport engine, so 250 plus horsepower. What does this weigh?
1507.
Yeah.
Incredibly light.
Incredibly light. Walk me through kind of the suspension and some of the OEM features that this car retains from the Cobalt.
Yeah, we take all of the front suspension and put it in the rear, and we take some of the rear suspension and put it in the front. And we retain as many of the OEM pieces we can. We have cruise control, distance till empty, power steering, power brakes, all the convenience of a modern car.
What was the motivation to create this? Because it's brilliant.
We saw the Ariel Atom and thought, wow, it's a neat car, but we couldn't afford one. And know a lot of people can't afford them, so wanted to build an entry-level kit car.
And that's what this is. Now, one of the things that's great is, like you said, this is really designed for someone to do at their own home if they want. And in order for them to be successful, you have to give them an organized program and good parts. And that's what we're seeing here. Brilliant and beautiful billet machining, and everything is labeled for assembly.
Yeah, this is kind of a sample of what it takes to build the front of our car. And you can follow along our videos, and it has all of the, you pick up a labeled bag and put together that portion of it. It makes it really easy for some people who are not super mechanically inclined.
You have a great background in the aircraft machining industry, and it certainly shows with the parts and the quality of the CNC work here. John is actually over with a sample front end, and he's going to show us how one comes together.
Awesome.
Now, the DF Goblin is amazing, Brian, but the real magic lies underneath here in the manufacturing, the simplicity of assembly, and all the coordination that goes on. You can see it right here. We're talking about that Cobalt, and this is pretty cool because it's an electronic power steering, and that actually has to tie in a little more complex than you think when it comes to manufacturing, because it talks to the engine control module, the body control module, and up here to the dash cluster from the Cobalt itself. We work our way down here. You can see the brake booster, which is off the donor Cobalt, and then the master cylinders down here, and all they really did was just relocate the reservoir up to here just to clear the hood line. Down underneath, the beauty continues. You got the rack and pinion right out of the car, and then they go to the control arms over here. And this is what I'm assembling, and that's the beauty of it, the simplicity of the assembly. The parts were all labeled. You can see the upper control arm here, the lower control arm, the beautiful rod ends, which gives you adjustment on this side for caster. Over here is our camber adjustment. So not only are you going to drive right, it's going to track right, and you're not going to wear your tires. Now, the spindle assembly right here, super easy to install. They give you all the bolts, hardware, it's all labeled, and you can see the spindle assembly right here, and the machining that goes on is phenomenal right here. And then it ties into the actual hub bearing. The hub bearing assembly is off the rear of the Cobalt, so it bolts right to it. Then what do? Well, like he said, super simple assembly. Just put it down in there. I'm going to come up, secure the top one. The rod ends actually adjust. They go right in, which is super nice. The bolts come back, start securing it. And of course, on a real car, we would put it down, even includes the safety washers. We'd put it down on the ground and secure everything and make sure the alignment's all correct and secure it down there. Once we get everything bolted up, we can take it just like a normal car and go get it aligned. All the adjustments are right there. So after we get that bolted up, we'll secure it a little bit later. We'll just put the caliper or the rotor on, bolt it up, get it to go, tie rod in, we're good to go. But I tell you what we love to do most? That's actually take these cars on a test drive. And I got a feeling this one's gonna be one of the funnest ones, and it's gonna be on the top of our list.
Okay, this thing is the greatest ever. So much fun to drive. Chassis great. Everything. I mean, John, this is very well done.
Yeah, not to mention the drivability and the performance was all there. I mean, we're talking computer command control cars. I mean, the Cobalt motor here with the supercharge, everything was there. Check it out for yourself at dfkitcar.com. Brian, it's time to switch places, man. I'm driving. Meanwhile, you take a short break. We'll be right back with more Motorhead Garage presented by Dustless Blasting.
No chance.
Motorhead Garage, presented by Dustless Blasting, is brought to you by Custom Autosound, the originator of classic car OEM fit radio since 1977. Jet Hot, high-performance coatings. Borla, the world's most winning exhaust. And by Dustless Blasting, it's the future of surface preparation.
Welcome back to Motorhead Garage, presented by Dustless Blasting. 80% of vehicles sold in North America have aluminum wheels on them. Why? Well, they're lighter, they make the vehicle more efficient, they allow for more kind of exciting visual designs. But aluminum wheels also have the proclivity to bend. If you live anywhere that there are potholes or winter, you can hit one of those big potholes or a chuck hole in the road and actually bend the wheel. The folks at Newark have come up with a great and safe solution to help straighten wheels. I'm with Ken. Ken, you're an engineer, you're a wheel expert. Tell me first why, when I look at a bent wheel like this one, this is more than just an annoying problem, it's a safety issue.
A bend like this can lead to air leakage, and then at the least it's an annoyance. You have to keep putting air in it. At the most, you're out on the highway and it happens, and if you don't fix it, you could lose air and have a tire blowout and insinuating problems thereafter.
Your testing has shown that these wheels, when they bend like this, actually have a kind of a very consistent way they actually crack, right? Can you explain that?
Yes, we call it a flange crack, and it become a radial crack starting at the top of the flange and coming down through the flange into the bead seat. At what point it leaks, and when it opens, it pops. It's releasing residual strain, and so from the time it starts to the time it's starting leaking is almost no time at all. So what you have to do is get rid of the crack. You can't allow the crack to propagate.
Now, give me in kind of general terms what Newark, the solution that you've developed in your wheel straightener.
Okay, the solution we have is a machine, an apparatus, and a procedure by which we put forces in two directions, and then we apply some heat, and we wrap it, put a shock wave of strain through it, and it relaxes the material, and it reverses the residual strain that would otherwise result in a crack at the 10 and 2 position of the bend.
Perfect. John and Don are over with the unit. They're going to show us how it works, and they're going to put your theory to work.
All right.
Well, it's a good thing Brian hit the curb last night, but we won't get into that. I'm here with Don from Newark. Now, Don, it's time to fix this rim. I can afford a tire, but not the rim. Super expensive. Putting it on, super easy. I mean, all we did was just put the rim on, put the cone in, tightened up the nut, secured it to the actual mount itself. Then you took it, flipped it over 180 degrees, and we're ready to go to work. So tell us, how are we going to fix this rim?
Well, I'm going to install 2 rams. No other machine is capable of doing this. We put 2 hydraulic rams in position. We can have the rams sitting like this, or we could stagger them into different planes, or I could change the angles. And what that does is it imparts like a massaging action to just the damaged portion of the wheel, not any other portion of the wheel. We concentrate on that, and we can precisely position these rams so that we can focus on that. And this massage action, what it does is it enables us to use less heat in the process, of straightening process, because more wheels are damaged by the application of too much heat.
All right, well, why don't we pull them off and we'll put some heat on there
Okay.
and actually show me the process.
Sure will.
So now we just back it out a little bit.
Yes.
I mean, there's also different adapters. If you have different size rims and stuff,
Yes.
we can use different adapters.
Yes.
We can put them on there. You actually have magnetic backing right there, so you can put them on there.
Yeah,
and
the
you know what's
magnets
going on.
that go
That's pretty
on.
cool. Yep. Bigger adapters for that one as well. You
Yep,
can
bigger
put that on.
adapters.
Yep. Now you're going to heat it up, so this is an important process as well. I mean, we don't want to do damage while we're heating it.
No.
So.
No, and what we do is monitor the heat. The SAE requires that wheels do not get too hot. So what we do is we monitor with an infrared thermometer and try to keep the wheel temperature. We want to get it as hot as possible because it's easier to straighten, but not too hot. So as long as the temperature off the flame stays around 400 degrees, we're in good shape.
Okay. And that's going to make the actual bending process or that, like you said, manipulating or massaging the rim back to where it was a lot
Right.
easier. We don't do that with the rams on because we don't want to heat up the rams.
We could do it with the lower ram on, and which I might. But the upper ram, we don't want to keep any flame on that because it could damage the seals in the Interpack equipment. All right, now I try to work as fast as I can.
All right,
to
so we got it hot, so
reposition
now
the
we're gonna
rams.
reposition the rams
We know
back on.
where we're at.
Now this is integral down here, the actual pump. You have the hydraulic pump
Right.
and you're watching the pressure, are you not?
I'm watching the pressure.
Okay.
So I've got readable pressure on the ram now. It's got about 500 pounds there.
Okay.
I'm going to set up the second ram right on the crown of that. And I'm adding pressure on the lower ram, and as I do, the pressure on the upper ram falls.
Interesting, right, because you're pushing out the top, you're actually dropping, so you're just going back and forth. You can see the
Back and
gauge is
forth.
moving. And now it's a matter of just repeating the process. Well, with a little manipulation, we got the rim looking good, and we got a dial indicator on it to prove it. You can see it here. This is where the dent was, and I could spin it right by the dent. Don, before, man, that was 2, 3, 4, 500 thousandths. I mean, it was bashed in. There's hardly anything here, and the real proof is we actually had a rim earlier, spun that. You can see how bad that thing looks. Watch this one. You spin it around, I mean, voila. I mean, we're extending the life of dented rims. That's what we're doing, and you guys have the SAE papers to prove that as well, and it's on the website. What's the website?
NewArcTech.com.
Awesome. Well, go to the website, check it out. You can get your rim fixed, no problem. It was easy to do. Take a break, but not a long break, because we'll be right back with more Motorhead Garage presented by Dustless Blasting.
Motorhead Garage, presented by Dustless Blasting, coming to you from Borla Commerce Park.
Welcome back to Motorhead Garage, presented by Dustless Blasting. Our friends at Custom Autosound continue to develop great applications for modern audio technology to blend seamlessly into your classic American car, or muscle car, or hot rod. For example, this application here is for a 1955 Chevrolet, and like all Custom Autosound products, the intention is that this radio will fit in the same spot that the factory radio came in, so you get the great functionality of a modern piece without ruining the classic looks of the interior of your car. These radios are equipped with Bluetooth capability. You can run your CD player, your iPod, any sort of digital music device you have right off of the radio. Also, you can use it to speak through because it comes with a microphone, so you can do hands-free cell phone operation, keep everybody safe, keep your eyes on the road. Radios come with a nice terminated wiring harness that is labeled. Also, you have capability for using some RCA jack technology as well. There's a warranty, there's a user's manual, and at the end of the day, there's a great listening experience that enhances your classic car without messing with its interior or its authentic looks that you like to enjoy so much. The reality is we've installed many of these radios here at Motorhead Garage, and each one of them has fit flawlessly for the application we needed. From classic pickup trucks to classic American cruisers like a 1955 Chevrolet, Custom Autosound will deliver you today's audio experience with yesterday's looks for everyone's enjoyment.
Blaster's been working it like a pro since 1957, and we're all familiar with the penetrating catalyst. This is a great product. Just spray it on a little rusted bolt. You know what? Comes off with no problem. We don't want to break any bolts. Great product for that. They also have it in a grease formula, which makes a great anti-seize compound. Put it on there, so when you go to disassemble it later, it's going to come off real easy. There's a silicone here. This is awesome for any window tracks, rubbers on the cars. We actually have the white lithium grease here, which is great for chains, bushings, any kind of bearings or stuff that you want to put on that it's actually going to cling to, which is really good. You have the degreaser here. Now, if you ever sprayed engine degreaser on, ooh, smells like diesel fuel. Not the Blaster. This is citrus-based, so it's really nice. You can use it on appliances and everything. And my favorite, the non-chlorinated brake cleaner. Now, that's really cool because what's going on there is you get the smudges when you work on brakes, you take it off, and it also works great on gasket surfaces. Before you apply that gasket, a little bit of this here, man, make sure that surface is prepped right.
You know, Blaster has a great line of greases too, and just like the lubricants in the can, all greases are not created equal, right? You have your general purpose grease that's great for most automotive applications, a marine grease that's really good for anything that's going to be exposed to the salt water, or anything that's going to be living in the water, your boat, personal watercraft, any of that kind of stuff. Then we can kind of move into the heavier duty line. You have a heavy duty grease here for any heavy equipment. If you work on job sites a lot, maybe you're running an excavator or something, that could be the product for you. Agriculturally speaking, The red tacky grease is a type of grease that's going to be great on rotating parts because it has that binding agent to kind of hold on to whatever you're applying it to. But the big one here is the penetrating grease. There really has never been a penetrating grease before, and PB, with over 60 years of experience in penetrating oils, has come up with a penetrating grease that'll help you out if you're working on anything that's rusty. It'll actually work its way down in there and help to free up some rusty parts. Or if you're working on old stuff, if anything that needs to maybe get a little bit of extra creep into those greasy surfaces that you need lubrication on, they got you covered. PB Blaster, whether it's in the can, whether it's in your grease gun, they'll keep you lubed up, they'll keep you rolling, and they'll help you get those stuck bolts loose. We'll be back with more Motorhead Garage presented by Dustless Blasting right after this.
Motorhead Garage, presented by Dustless Blasting, is brought to you by Stage 8 Fasteners, home of the world's best locking header bolt, now included with each set of Cook's headers. Go to stage8.com. ProCut International, rotor matching systems. RockAuto.com, all the parts your car will ever need. And by K&N Filters, superior airflow, superior performance.
Welcome back to Motorhead Garage, presented by Dustless Blasting. You know, in today's world of high-performance cars, we also have a lot of high-performance fuels you can get right out of the pump. E85 is a perfect example of this. But E85 comes with some proclivities and differences that need to be accounted for. And in cars like this late-model Mustang you see John working on back here, you really can't even run the stuff unless you put a dedicated tune-up in the car and tell the engine what's going on. Well, Ryan from Advanced Fuel Dynamics is coming in right now. Ryan, come on down. Ryan, you've developed the ProFlex Commander system to really take care of an issue that a lot of late-model high-performance car owners need help with, which is E85. So tell me about why they need your help and what you're going to help them with.
Sure thing. Yeah, so E85 really is a great way to make power, but the problem is it's really inconsistent out of the pump, and that's really hard to account for in a tune. So we've developed ProFlex Commander system for a bunch of vehicles, but this one specifically for the Mustang will give us a sensor that we can install to actually read what fuel it's running on, so that we can allow this vehicle to run on any fuel at any time and make all the power you want to make on E85.
Yeah, so for instance, you go to your local station, you pump the 85 out. Let's say it's 80% ethanol, right? Everything's good. You have a tune-up in the car, everything's happy. Well, the next station you go to, maybe it's 60%. Now the tune-up that you have locked into that car for the 80% fuel is not going to be effective and potentially dangerous.
Yeah,
if the thing's
potentially
boosted.
dangerous, exactly. Yeah, you can blow up a motor that way if it's tuned for a given fuel. So with our system, you can run any fuel, and like you said, if you go to a pump that's got 80% in it, and you got, even if your light's on your car, you could be getting 80% ethanol out of that pump, but you'll wind up with 65, 70% because of that gas that's blending out, and you go down the road. And then if you had a tune for a specific fuel and you want to drive to grandma's house, you can't make it there because you can't get fuel in between your house and grandma's house. So with our system, feel free to drive across the country and get whatever fuel you want to get, and when you're going to the track, dump the best stuff in there you can get and make all the power.
That's fantastic. Now, how does the system actually work? What am I looking at here components-wise? And is this something I could do at my house, or do I need to have the professional installer put this in?
Yeah, so we design it so that it can be installed at home. Having a professional install it's never a bad idea if you aren't very confident, but everything is plug and play that we sell. So we have the brain here that does all the controlling, the fuel sensor, and then these components will integrate those into the car. So on this Mustang, we replaced the fuel line under the hood completely, not for any kind of compatibility reasons, but just for simplicity. So you remove your fuel line, this will plug right into the car and plug into the fuel sensor. Then this will plug into the other side of the fuel sensor and into your fuel rail, and it's done. Everything clicks together, and then this harness will integrate into your car's wiring harness and into the brain here. And everything has factory-type connectors. It plugs directly in without any additional tools other than your ground.
Well, John's actually with the Mustang right now, and he's putting the wiring harness in so we can see exactly how seamlessly this system integrates.
Well, I'm right in the process of installing the Advanced Fuel Dynamics system, and it couldn't be any easier. What Ryan talked about was the factory fuel line. I actually popped it off right here. I used my spring lock compressor here and took it off, and ready to put in the other one. I got the two hoses secured right here, and then I'm just going to take the sensor, and they're quick lock connectors, so it's just a matter of plugging them in, and they lock in, and it's good to go. And I'll just plug in the harness while I'm here. On that side, I already have the injectors all tied up, and the beauty of it's right over here because there's 2 harnesses. There's one for each bank, and the actual lengths of the harnesses, well, they're all determined by the manufacturer here, so you can see where you can't cross them up because they're sequential injected. So now it's just a matter of connecting them in parallel. So I went down to the injectors. You're going to plug into the injectors. I actually took the rail off in the fuel line just to gain access. Didn't have to do that on that side. Super simple. And then the connector goes right where the other injector connector would have been, down on the injector itself. Then I'll go to the front one here and I'll connect it. And once it's connected down on the injector, the same thing all the way up the line. From there to the last one, bam, connected and ready to go. Now I'll tuck that in later, but you can see the actual wire loom right here. It looks good. It's all tied in, looks like factory, actually feels and acts better than the factory harness. Ground connection over here, ECM connector right there, the little computer, plug it in. We'll go ahead and relocate that a little bit later, get that secure, attach the ground, and we're good to go. What I'll do then is I'll just pour some fuel in there, run it for a little while around the system, get through the injectors, get in the motor, and then we'll take a look at the app because that's going to tell the tale. Well, I did my part, Ryan. Got the engine running. There's no misfires, no fuel leaks. Now, we always say around here, show us the evidence. What's going on?
Well, we've got our app connected now. We've just dumped in this 90% ethanol from Eclipse race fuels to show you how the app works and how the system works when you're putting your ethanol in, and this is going to show the blend of the fuel in the car.
So it's actually reading right now. As it reads, it's actually telling us what's going on as it's running through the fuel system with that sensor I plugged in.
Correct, yep. So this is showing you as you fuel, whatever fuel you're putting in, it knows exactly what the fuel is going to be, and it compensates for it and gives you the best performance possible.
So where can they find you on the web?
At advancedfueldynamics.com.
We'll go there and check it out. You know, we're out of time for today, and that's unfortunate, folks, because it was a great show. But if you have a product you want to get here in Motorhead Garage Studios, just email Jeff at masterstv.com. Well, we'll see you next week for more Motorhead Garage, brought to you by Dustless Blasting.